Good morning, December the, 29th. I'm a bit lost with my dates. Been pretty much lost with my dates through December, to be honest, but here we are, and thank you very much for the comments for yesterday's wee vlog. I appreciate it. I do appreciate it. It's very kind of you. I hope everyone is well, and if you are on holiday, I hope you are making the most of the relaxation that's available to you. So, some thoughts, sharing some thoughts that I've been having around about the pandemic and how do we co-regulate with one another throughout this time. How do I co-regulate with the temperature in here this morning? Could be a challenge, I guess. Good morning, Andy. I hope you're well. So, okay, these are my thoughts. So, I'll start off around about where I'm currently seeing things. You know, I'm watching the news in the morning, which is a new concept for me because I have never watched the news. I've never watched the news much in my life. And good morning, hope you're all well. So there's a lot in the news around about mental health and depression. And we're seeing an increase in mental health and depression. And I'm wondering how we could... good morning! I'm wondering how we could start to address that differently, or indeed more effectively. Because if it's on the rise, then perhaps we're not looking at it as effectively as we could. So, what I want to share with you is some of the things that I've been thinking about for quite a while. And I don't have an answer for this, and I'm not even saying that it's factually correct. It's just some thoughts that I have been having around about the problem versus the solution. So the way that I have looked at alcoholism and drug addiction over many years now, probably, oh goodness, at least a decade since I trained in Canada with a chap, and we look at alcoholism and drug addiction as being a problem. But when we look at drug addiction and alcoholism as a problem, what we do is it's a shame-based model. The individual who is in the clutches of the affliction or the addiction is feeling full of shame, and it's called Sinead. Aye. So the person that's in the clutches of the addiction is it's a shame-based behaviour. And the model that I work with is pretty much is like, well, hey, how you doing? Nice to meet you. And you're the guy that's using, a couple of bottles of wine every day. How about you just keep doing that until we figure out why you're using it, right? And we take it away from a shame-based model because his wife, his boss, his self, she realises at some level that the compulsive behaviour that's led them into the therapeutic relationship is that they feel terrible about it, okay? So what I've noticed recently with myself was about 5-6 weeks ago, I hurt my back, or thought I hurt my back, okay? So I thought I hurt my back, and I was walking about 2 weeks. I kind of lost 2 weeks of my life to my backache. And it wasn't until I was able to get an appointment with a specialist that the specialist said to me, oh, okay, I see exactly what's going on here. It's your pelvis. So I had told family and friends and told everybody that would listen that, oh man, my back's so sore. But in actual fact, my back was the solution to the problem. The problem was my pelvis, but my back had compensated in such a way that my back was acting as the solution to protect my pelvis, okay? So when we look at, and what I've noticed as well, so this is another interesting part that's got me thinking a little bit further about depression and anxiety over the last few days, is that because I had damaged my pelvis in some way, the specialist that I went to see was able to identify that the muscle or whatever had contracted and had pulled my right leg up where there was a couple of inches or an inch of difference in my leg. So my autonomic nervous system, my unconscious mind, when I was in the pain of the backache, the pelvis, if you like. Now I'm going to be crude. When I was going for a pee, when I was standing at the toilet for a pee, what my autonomic nervous system and my unconscious mind was doing was it was unconsciously rectifying the balance distribution from my leg and I was going up on the ball of my right foot, right? So, this morning, 5 o'clock I get up, 5 o'clock this morning. Morning, Eddie, how you doing? Where is Eddie? Oh, no Eddie. I'm here myself, all alone. Hope you feel bad. So, what I noticed this morning, 5 o'clock, get up, went for a pee, my back, I would say is 95% better. I'm not feeling any pain or any discomfort. I occasionally get a little twinge, but my back's doing okay. But what I noticed this morning at 5 o'clock, which I have been doing, probably more often than I've been aware of it, but the awareness was there this morning, was that I am still unconsciously lifting my weight distribution up and going up on the ball of my right foot. But there's no need for me to be doing that. So I caught that this morning and I went, right, autonomic nervous system, depression, anxiety, on the news, lots of people. So I'm sitting watching the news after I was thinking about me trying to compensate for my ankle, right? With my ankle, for my back, that's better. Anyway, I was thinking about depression. What if we've got depression all wrong? What if depression, I started to look at people that come to my practice with depression and anxiety differently? What if depression isn't an illness and it's not a mental health problem, right? So we've been trained, we've been taught, the news is now telling us on a daily basis that mental health issues are on the rise. The news is now telling us that people are suffering from depression, people are suffering from anxiety. But what if depression isn't a mental health problem? What if depression is actually a solution to a fear-based response to something that's going on that we're perceiving as a threat in our environment? Now, with COVID-19, it's a threat to our environment, right? This pandemic is a threat to our environment. It's an unseen, invisible war that we're fighting, okay? Now, at the beginning, right, what we also saw with this pandemic was we were all in it together and it was a national lockdown. So because we were all in it together, yes, there was a fear around it, but there was also a place where we were able to co-regulate within this new experience. Now, all I'm suggesting we do is think, if you know somebody that's got depression or got anxiety, look at them and actually ask ourselves how we can co-regulate against that and not to look at them as having an illness or having a problem or being disabled in some kind of way, right? Hi, Janie. Right, so what if depression is a natural adaptogen response to a threat or a fear? And again, I've not really thought about this that much since 5 o'clock this morning. But there's another thing that comes in, like in my environment. Like I've got a puppy in the house right now, and the puppy's playing with Alf, right? And I know I changed subject, right? But I'm struggling with the cold. It's freezing in here this morning. I've got this wee puppy, right? And it's in the house, and it keeps rolling over onto its belly, right? And I've been taught to think that that's the dog being submissive. But what if it's not being vulnerable? What if when a dog goes over on its back, it's not being vulnerable, it's actually being accessible? And then I started thinking about my own accessibility, right? And then I had a great chat with a friend of mine yesterday, Gordon, right? A really good pal of mine. And we were chatting, and I said to him, isn't it funny how quickly we adapt to a fear response? So I started worrying about something a couple of weeks ago, right? And I think that I'm no longer worrying about that, but I am still worrying about it. But what I've done is my body's just adapted to that. So that's now my new state. So although I don't feel as if I'm worrying about it, the worry's still there. It's just I've very quickly changed and re-regulated my autonomic and nervous system in order to balance the experience, right? So how do I know I'm still worrying about it? Well, I'll tell you how I know I'm still worrying about it. Because I'm actually struggling to co-regulate myself with certain people. Because when I'm in situations, social situations where I'm with friends, I'm noticing that I'm not fully present. I'm noticing that I'm not as empathetic. I'm noticing that I'm not perhaps able to share a smile. Okay, so I'm going to go further on this. I'm going to think further on this throughout the day around about depression, freezing, but good, but fantastic. So we're being bombarded by the news at the moment around about depression being a mental health problem, right? What if it's not a problem? Like my view on alcoholism. What if alcoholism isn't a problem and alcoholism is actually a solution to a deeper trauma that's underneath it? What if depression is not a problem? What if we started looking at depression as a solution to an adaptogen, where it's just an adaptogen response to a threat? Now, there's a huge threat out there. There's COVID-19, there's lack of employment, there's people losing their jobs, there's people on furlough, right? There's a massive amount of threat. Right, so our autonomic nervous system, and I think before we start to get into a deeper discussion about this, we've really got to look at the perceptive, almost psychic quality of the autonomic nervous system and how finely tuned the nervous system in the body is, that we don't give it credit for. And we are perceiving a threat in our environment, be that conscious or unconscious or subconscious or whatever that might be. And yeah, there's loads in it. I'm going to think more about it, and I'm going to do a vlog later on today or in the next few days around about. I went away thinking there because I thought, imagine somebody walked past right now and I'm stood here semi-naked in the middle of the woods surrounded by snow. I thought, what would they think? I went, well, it doesn't really matter what they think. But still, it would be quite strange if I come walking round the corner of the now. There was a guy stood half naked talking to a phone. I thought, what would I be thinking? Bizarre. Maybe more folks should do it. Anyway, I'm going to do a blog. I'm going to really get my head into it because these thoughts have only really been coming since 5 o'clock this morning. And how do we co-regulate? How can we learn to co-regulate? And I'm really, really happy for people to bombard me with messages so that we can start co-regulating with this kind of discussion, because I think it's really important right now. And I'm also really thinking about vulnerability, because I've done loads of stuff with, around about Brené Brown, and I'm starting to think about that a wee bit differently as well around about vulnerability, because when we are vulnerable, right, there has to be a part of us that's protected. Can we be fully 100% vulnerable? So what if we started to change the view on vulnerability to accessibility, and how accessible can you be? That means you're available, accessible, available. And how available are we right now when we're under such attack from a COVID-19 response, and fear and unemployment and worry and millions of people losing their jobs and expecting to be out of work and loads of stuff going on with that. So thank you very much for listening.